All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Connie Ellefson, who is an engineer, author, and professional organizer. Connie, how you doing?
Great, Jenny. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on the show, and we like to jump
Sure.
right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Well, I like to read. I like to work out at my athletic club. I tend to like variety, so I take a lot of different classes. Not so good at sports because I just couldn't stick with practicing the same thing over and over.
Mm,
And so, but anyway, gardening, reading, hanging out with my kids, grandkids, all that jazz.
there we go. There we go. How many kids do you have?
Two sons and two daughters-in-law and two granddaughters.
Solid, solid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are you still actively an engineer through the days? Are you mainly writing books and doing professional organizing? Tell us about the work life.
It's mostly on the engineering side. When I first started this book, which was like 2008, I when the engineering had plummeted because my stuff's tied to the building industry, and it kind of went downhill in 2008. So then I realized I liked cleaning up my desk better than actually the engineering. So I started that, but then the engineering kind of picked up again.
I got you.
So anyway, my dream is to spend more of my time marketing the book, making videos, and somehow tying that together with a bigger marketing scheme, like giving talks or whatever.
Okay. Okay. And what is the book again?
It's called Clear the Space, Feel the Rush, Declutter Body, Mind, and Stuff to Reclaim Energy, Freedom, and Fun. Long title.
Clear the space, feel the
The
rush.
Rush. Yeah.
And give us the subtitle one more time.
Declutter body, mind, and stuff to reclaim energy, freedom, and fun.
Okay. Okay. I like the reclaim energy, freedom, and fun, right?
Right.
I like the triple body, mind, and stuff, energy, freedom,
Right.
and fun. I like that.
That's that's kind of how it all started because I realized, I mean, there's so many fabulous organizing books, and you'd think we'd all be organized within an inch of our lives, considering how much great information there is, but somehow it seems to deteriorate or never quite gets there. And
Yeah.
and I even saw that in my own life and family. I'd go 90% and then I'd stop. I would never finish it all the way. So I figured there must be some mind clutter going on too that's holding me back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit more. So you're engineering still,
Mhm.
and you're not writing anymore. Now it's more marketing the book
Right.
and also
Yes.
just being a professional organizer. So tell us what that looks like on the day to day.
It's mainly I probably spend 3 or 4 hours a day doing engineering, and then I'm a consultant, so I work out of my home,
Mhm.
and then I make videos for TikTok for my book as much as I can. I really love that, so I do one of those almost every day. And I can't do that 8 or 10 times a day. I just have to do what I can,
Yeah.
but it's kind of fun. And then every once in a while, I work with another woman who is her company does senior move management. So we help elderly people that are moving into assisted living or from one apartment to another. So we help them downsize, and we pack them up one day and then we move them the next day and unpack them that same day. So it really cuts down the stress that they get from having a dragged out moving procedure.
Yeah. No, I bet. I hate moving. I don't even have that much stuff. So accumulating a lifetime and a family's worth of stuff and deciding what to keep, moving it. Yeah, I can see how that could be stressful for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what started me on a downsizing journey, because when I moved around as a kid, we lived in a trailer that was 8 feet wide and 43 feet long
Mm,
the first
wow.
5 years. So that's 344 square feet.
Yeah.
And that's about half the size of a one-bedroom apartment these days. So
Hmm.
four of us, all we had to do when we moved was tape the drawers shut and head on out. So it never seemed crowded. So I don't think we had very much stuff. And then about 25 years later, I moved house with my husband at the time and our two little boys. And it took me and five big guys 4.5 hours to put everything in a giant moving van.
Yep.
because we had about a 3,000 square foot house and we filled it up as people normally do. Whatever space they have, they put furniture in every room. So that was when I'm like, we need to go back to closer to the first one
Yeah, I
because this
got
is embarrassing.
you. Well, I feel like that hints at it a little bit, but let's dive a bit deeper. Tell us about your motivation. What really gets you up and keeps you going every day?
As far as doing my different works,
Yeah,
or
just life. Just what
okay,
gets you up and keeps you going.
okay. Well, I love creating things and designing things.
Hmm.
So even though engineering is not my favorite, at least I get to do design work pretty much all the time. And I'm really enjoying doing making the videos and looking into, I'd like to do more speaking. I think I mentioned that,
Hmm.
but helping people get rid of all kinds of clutter that holds them back from being who they are meant to be or just living their best life. Because a lot of times we hide out behind our clutter, no matter what kind it is. Maybe it's physical body clutter. Maybe we're sitting on the couch all the time because we don't have enough energy. And just getting some exercise changes all that. So, and it also detoxifies your body. So it's basically decluttering your body.
Yeah,
And and I'm just fascinated by the interplay between those and what motivates other people to what I have people do is I have them look at their dream for how they want to spend their time and look around and say, is my house supporting that dream now? Is the way I'm running my household at this time supporting what I really want to do? So you might just want to spend all your time on adventures, which means you're probably going to have it pretty minimalist at home. So you don't have to worry about what's happening at the house when you're out messing around. Or maybe you want to entertain a lot more. So that's a different setup. So if people look at the big picture for how they want to live their lives, then you kind of work backwards from there instead of just looking at the piles.
I see. I see. I was about to ask the question, how does how we live our life relate to how our home is set up? Like, how do we set up our home in a way to facilitate our life? But I feel like you answered it a little bit with like, what's your intrinsic motivation of like, do you want to entertain? Do you want to travel and adventure? Do you want to have maybe like stability, safety, and consistency, or like a safe place for people, or whatever you're
Right.
looking to do? You can set it up to
Uh-huh.
reflect that motivation. Is that right?
Right. That's exactly right. For me, it's my dream is a vacation condo.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
nicely decorated. It's got all the basics, but there isn't clutter there. And if you've ever gone on a workation at a place like that, you know how relaxing it is and how it kind of lets you get into the project and not be worried about the laundry or whatever's happening in the background.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So a vacation condo, when did you decide on that?
A long time ago. And I'm still not there, but I'm getting a lot closer.
Okay. Okay.
So,
What are the barriers to having that vacation condo feel for you right now?
well, I've recently realized when it comes to all organizing schemes, you really need to take the fourth dimension of time into consideration because it takes a lot of time to put everything away all the time, especially if you have a lot of stuff or if you don't have enough storage or if it's not well organized. You tend to procrastinate. If you have to move a bunch of stuff to put something away, you're just going to like, I'll do it later.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff piles up. And even if you get it streamlined and fabulous, you're not going to stop shopping the rest of your life and you're not going to stop receiving gifts. So things keep coming in that you have to deal with. And I was on a workation myself a year or so ago, just just me in an Airbnb room, and I had nice places for my clothes to be put away. So at night, I'd stay up working on my book till 9 o'clock with my laptop, my little book bag, some papers, and all that. Maybe 5 or 6 items. And I noticed in the morning I wouldn't put it away before I went to bed because I'd crash, and then I'd wake up and I'd put it all back together, and it would take me 10 minutes, even
Mm.
with just 4 or 5 things.
Yep.
So I'm like, wow, if we have a house full of this stuff,
Oh yeah.
no wonder we need to really plan for some time to put that away or get yourself a routine or whatever. I like to play games with myself and putting stuff away, so that makes it fun.
Yeah. I will say I am of the I don't want stuff because I don't want to have to put it away
Right.
mindset. I'm just like, I literally can't be bothered. And I know that when the moment comes for me to put it away, I'm not going to do it because it's just
Right.
not that important to me. So I'd rather not have it. And if I
Yeah.
really need to have it, I won't mind like putting it away, or I'll be using it frequently enough to where it's not like too much of a hassle. It'll be like so part of my life that it's
Uh-huh.
only natural that I would take care of it. And that's the
Right.
only stuff that I want. Everything else could be gone. But
One of the one of the tips I heard from somebody was try to make it so you don't have to move more than one item to find anything or to put anything away.
mm,
So the more space you have in your storage compared to the amount of things in there, the easier it's going to be, like you said, with your own stuff.
oh yeah, like when I have to start moving stuff, like sometimes there'll be things in the back of the pantry and it'll be like necessary to whatever I'm gonna eat or whatever. I'm just like, I guess I'll eat something else because I'm not about to scramble around and try to find this thing. It is infuriating to me to have to dig around, and then you'll be looking for 5 minutes and it's not even there, and it's like,
Right.
it's
Yep.
like, so if I can't see it and grab it quickly, I probably am not going to use it.
Yep. I've been known to do that.
Yeah.
Kind of one of the big things in my book is about energy healing, which sounds
Really?
kind of complicated, but it's not. And it's not woo woo. It's just we're all made of a ton of energy. Like if you look at the old equation of E equals mc squared, that's like the energy tied up in our bodies and our mass.
Hmm.
It's a huge number, no matter how much you weigh, because you're taking the speed of light and you're squaring it. And that's how
Yeah.
much energy is in your body. So it's massive. So I've always thought energy healing probably, I'm thinking it would work better than just chemistry or whatever, which also is energy healing. But it could be something really simple, like you're really upset about something and you have a good cry. That changes your energy.
It does.
And if you write, do some journaling or whatever about whatever you're upset about, or anything in life, or even what you're grateful for, that changes your energy too. It's all about the endorphins and dopamine and serotonin floating through your body.
Yeah.
So some of these things are super simple, like even taking 3 deep breaths will change your body chemistry and it'll calm you down.
Mm.
So tapping is my favorite, more complicated energy healing technique, but even that is relatively simple once you get the hang of it. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
My mom has dabbled in it, but I have no idea what it is.
okay. Well, it's a little practice to calm down your amygdala, your fight or flight part of your brain. And you just tap around your face, these different points, and you talk about whatever you're upset about. And the weird thing is, you talk about the negative side, like, I can't believe I'm doing this. What's wrong with me? How come I haven't gotten my poop together or whatever, and
Hmm.
and you're talking about all this negative stuff, which you're actually thinking, but you don't have the nerve to say it out loud because we have such a culture of never think negatively or never say anything negative, but it's bugging you and it's stuck in your nervous system. But it's calming down the amygdala, and the points are the end points of the meridians that they use in acupuncture. So
Mm.
when you tap on them, it just kind of like gets you right into the present and calms you down, because when we're upset about something, we can't think very well. And then when you calm down, you can think better, figure out a solution or whatever.
I feel
Or
like
even,
some. Oh, go for it.
yeah, just or you realize things aren't nearly as bad as you think they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like
So
sometimes people will naturally do that without
uh-huh.
realizing they're doing it. Like they'll just like tap their forehead or they'll like rub their temples or
Yes,
whatever it may
exactly.
be to like just calm themselves down. It's really
Uh-huh.
interesting how we like on my podcast, people have brought attention to energy healing, sound healing, like frequently, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was so skeptical before my podcast, but then people like started talking about it. I'm like, oh, this is stuff people do anyway. It just has a
Right.
name that is
Uh-huh.
foreign to me. And because that name is foreign to me, I'm acting like it's a foreign concept. But like you tapping your head and stuff, I'm like, I don't know, people do stuff like that to calm themselves down naturally. And so now you're just being
Yeah.
intentional about it. Or like
Uh-huh.
somebody was talking to me about sound healing, and this is what really set my perspective straight on it of like how
Mhm.
simple some of the energy healing can be. They were like, sound healing is just like certain sounds make you feel a certain way or help you release a certain emotion. And so
Uh-huh.
when you are scared, like when a pop-up comes in a scary movie, you scream,
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
you scream to release that fear energy that you have in your body, and then you are no
Wow.
longer scared.
Uh-huh.
They're like, that's sound healing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so
Yeah.
much sense. So I like that you're kind of talking to how simple energy healing can be, because energy healing does sound real woo woo, or sound like something not a lot of people would do. But
Mhm.
as we're seeing here, it can be the deep breaths, the tapping on your head, or massaging yourself where you would naturally do it when you have a headache and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I like that.
Yeah, I want to try to demystify it, and because there's more and less complicated ways to do it, and some you would do with a practitioner. A lot of chiropractors do a technique called neuro-emotional technique, and it's sort of the same thing, but when we talk about something that's bugging us or it's bugged us for a long time, then sometimes we think of something else and we tap on that. But the chiropractors have a way of checking in with your body and really like zeroing in on what was the original thing that started this crazy idea. And
Yeah.
then so they can actually make a lot of progress, which might take you a lot more time to do tapping on your own. It's always going to be beneficial to do tapping no matter what, but a practitioner like that can make it change a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Well, awesome. Now we're going to jump into dreams and goals. So we've talked a little bit about the energy healing in the book.
Mhm.
Right now, you have some dreams and goals about marketing the book, doing more speaking, having that vacation condo nicely decorated, not a lot of clutter. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, just really getting the book out there. So let's list off the dreams and goals. Then let's go a little bit more of a deep dive into the book after that.
Okay. So you want me to say them again?
Well, do you have any more you want to add after that recap?
No, just I want to spend more time with my family and friends and develop a relationship that I've been working on for a few months after finally getting up the nerve. It took me 2 years to get up the courage to do some online dating. And then I found a really nice man. So I've been working on that. But between the engineering, when it went down, and then when it started going up, there were several years where I worked 7 days a week,
Yeah.
not all day long, but I just couldn't afford to take one day off. I'd have to spend some time on it every day. So I couldn't make any plans with my friends because they'd almost always get canceled.
Hmm.
All I could do was hang out with my family on the occasions when I was required to be there. So I'm thinking it's gonna dovetail pretty well to get back with my old friends, meet up with them, show my book, and get their ideas for how I could market it. So those two things are going to go together really well.
Okay. Okay. I got you. Now tell us a little bit more about the book. We touched on the energy healing. What else does the book go into?
There's three main sections, like you said, for each of the things that were in the subtitle, body, mind, and stuff. So I talk about each one separately. And if you're only interested in, say, the physical body decluttering, you can just go right to that chapter. And there's really good stuff at the very beginning and the very end of the book that are, even if you didn't read any of those three middle sections, you'd still get something very valuable out of it.
Yep.
And so that's the rush. The rush is actually good for your health. It's good for your immune system to be happy.
Yeah.
And decluttering is a great way to do it because you always, I don't know, I'm sure you've felt it, Timmy, where you clean out a closet or whatever, you make yourself do it, and then you just feel exhilarated every time you look at that closet for a
Oh, yeah.
while, like several days. And that's the rush. That's the endorphins coming up in your body. So one day I was just about done writing this book, and somebody asked me to give a speech about it, and I'm like, oh dear, what'll I do? And then I thought, oh, all of a sudden that's when I realized that when you do some exercise for half an hour, which declutters your body, you feel the rush. When you let go of an emotional block, you feel the rush. And it's all the same stuff. It's all just the endorphins.
Yeah.
So what really pulled it all together was I read a book last summer called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's also a chiropractor and a neuroscientist. It's not about paranormal, it's just about all the things that people can do that they don't realize they can do. So he had a group in 2016, he had a conference for 4 days, and he asked everyone to spend 10 minutes 3 times a day putting themselves in he called it a high vibrational emotional state, which could be gratitude, happiness, love, humor, I think would work. So they're basically meditating for 30 minutes a day. And at the beginning and end of the 4 days, he tested them with a cheek swab, their saliva. He checked it for immunoglobulin A, which is a protein in your body that says, this is how strong your immune system is right this minute. And it went up an average of 50% in 4 days of being happy 30 minutes a day. So I'm like, it was an informal experiment. And, somebody who would get after me about scientific, exactness would say, no, that's not enough to prove anything. But I don't really care. It works. And
Yeah.
I think we could say, like, this could help improve your immune system. And Dr. Dispenza, after the results, he said, this is way stronger than any flu shot or vitamin C or anything else you might take to improve your immune system. And it's all in your own body, and it's all under your control.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the big message I would love everybody to get.
I gotcha. It is those like sayings that you were always told when you were a kid that you thought were so stupid, and then they
Yeah.
seem to be rooted in truth. Like
Uh-huh.
laughter is the best medicine.
Right.
Like I feel like that speaks to, people would say that. I'm like, well, that's a little silly. I feel like
Yeah.
ibuprofen is gonna help my headache a little better. But it's like when you think about that and you see people practicing gratitude, practicing those high vibrational emotional states, and 50% increased in
IDA.
IDA,
Yeah, IDA. Yeah.
it like it's just you can't refute it. Or you see people like I think there's been studies of like cancer patients and
Oh,
like
yeah. Mhm.
survival versus not survival, and it was like how supportive your community was around you and how your journey was basically
Right.
as a
Uh-huh.
cancer. Like, were you alone, isolated, and negative, or was it more like a positive experience? Like people corralled around you, and you yourself were in like a more positive state. And then, of course, The Secret. This is what blew my mind. Have you seen The Secret, the movie?
Uh-huh. Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. When they were talking in the documentary about this dude who got in a crash, he was paralyzed, and then he
Uh-huh.
was like, I'm walking out of here by Christmas.
Yeah.
The doctor's like, no way you're ever walking out of here. And he just spent his days visualizing himself walking out and like putting
Mhm.
his body back together in his mind. Sure enough, by
Uh-huh.
Christmas time, he walked out of that hospital when he was supposed to never walk again. I'm like, you can't tell me that there's not something there. I'm sorry, you can
Right.
be as skeptical as you want, but
Right.
refute that. Refute that man's experience, please. So,
That actually happened to Joe Dispenza too.
really?
Like 40 years ago, he was in a really bad bicycle accident, and they said the same thing: you may not walk again. And he walked out 12 weeks later. So,
Yeah. I've heard a lot about Joe Dispenza. I've never
uh,
read any of his work, so I
oh
need to
yeah,
start.
it's very in depth.
Yeah,
So it's challenging to read, but it's really fascinating.
yeah.
And in fact, one of his other things in the book was a kind of a meditation that I don't know if you've ever heard of the chakras. They're seven rings of energy that supposedly go around your body at different points,
Mhm.
and or different one's around your throat, one's kind of the middle of your head, one's just above your head.
Yep.
So he called it the chakra blessing meditation, and he said, pretend it's all just you're pretending, like you're pretending you're bringing healing energy into your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. And then you can either spend a few seconds there or a few minutes, and then you start bringing that energy up in your mind to the second chakra, which is just below your navel. And you pretend you're bringing some more healing energy from the side, and you're bringing the other energy up, just bringing it all up at the same time. And then you work your way up to the top of your head. And the first time I tried that, I spent several minutes on each chakra, and I felt so good.
Really?
I'm like, oh, I think this is the endorphins. hanging out, and I'm just stirring all this up myself. So that's, I kind of actually learned how to turn it on whenever I want.
That is really cool.
Yeah, and that was just from reading this 2-page description in that particular book. So
Did you come on my podcast to sell me on Joe Dispenza?
no,
Well, I'm sold. I'm sold.
I'm just bringing it out for the for everybody to hear about.
Yeah, yeah, no, I appreciate that because it's valuable information, and I really have heard a lot about him, but never, it was never like in depth enough or
Uh-huh.
a substantive enough conversation for me to, pursue it further. And now I'm like,
Right.
dude, that's the next audiobook I'm gonna read. I'm gonna pull up a Joe Dispenza audiobook. So, really cool, really cool. Okay, so we got dreams and goals. We got the sections of the book. So you have one section for body, one for mind, one for stuff, and then on the beginning and the end of the book, you talk about the rush.
Yeah, and I talk about just decluttering in general and how to apply all this stuff, or maybe decide where you want to start. And I talk about in the beginning that the thing about what's your dream for your time, because really in the end it really is about your stuff, trying to get your stuff organized, and so it serves you instead of holding you hostage. But the other two parts of it, they kind of flow together. Like if you decide I'm just going to start on the body decluttering, it will flow into you'll come home from the gym or whatever, and you'll feel more like, I'm going to get after that closet, I'm going to handle it today, or whatever. So, or if you do some emotional clearing, then you'll feel more relaxation about trying to let go of some of your stuff, so then you can go ahead and work on it without being hindered, like you're not pulling yourself back all the time. And just as an aside, I'll tell you why the whole chapter about your body came about. Years ago, I read about a 29 or 32-year study that they did at I think it was the Rockefeller Institute. And they kept chicken cells alive for that length of time, 32 years, way longer than a chicken would live.
Yep.
And all they did, I mean, they fed the cells, obviously, glucose, water, whatever, but they cleaned away the wastes every day. And then the cells finally died because somebody forgot to clean away the waste for 2 or 3 days. And then they died.
Wow.
So I'm like, whoa, it is good to keep yourself decluttered.
Yeah.
And
And so does the body part go into diet?
yes, it's with all the stuff that has to do with the body. I definitely have a disclaimer that I'm no expert in any of it. So I just make general suggestions like eating lots of fiber and getting some exercise. That's probably the main one, is getting exercise.
Mm.
But drinking water and trying. The main thing also for decluttering your body is to not put a bunch of chemicals in your body with food that's got lots of preservatives and so forth.
But I could put a lot of sugar in my body, right?
It just depends on how you respond to it. If it makes you feel awful, then probably not.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes most people feel awful. Um, well, cool, cool. So body, it goes into diet. I guess I'm curious. Um, I read this book and I recently had this guy on my podcast who talked about gut health. Does it talk anything about gut health?
No, I don't go into that a lot. I mean, that's really a lot more specific, and that's something you should take up with an expert,
Hmm.
which I'm not. I try to inspire people.
Yeah,
So
makes
like
sense.
in the possessional part of it, your stuff part, I have some like standard organizing and decluttering ideas, and I have a few twists on them that are my own. But it's more about inspiring somebody to do it, because there's hundreds of books that are already doing a fabulous job of telling you how to organize your stuff. I don't need to reproduce that.
Yeah.
And then on the emotional decluttering, I have several many techniques, from the very simple to the more complicated, and then some things that you might like to declutter. The first one in all three of those categories is decluttering the guilts. That's number one. Just do not go like, how could I have done this? How could I have let you've been busy. Okay. That's it. You've been busy. So don't even beat yourself up about it. Just go from today. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, I kind of hammer that one home.
there we go.
I'm not the organizer that says you must do, except for that one, declutter the guilt.
I love it. Well, what are the top 1 to 2 skills that you need to develop to make some of these dreams and goals come true?
It's it's partly a matter of I don't know if you've studied about personalities, not to put myself in a category, but I'm one of those people that's really good at focusing on how the people that are I'm around feel and reading the situation and all that, but not so much on the taking action. So I need to get myself decide, like there's hundreds of ways to market anything, right? So which ones are the best ones to spend my time on and go ahead and do them.
Okay.
And part of it is that I'm still doing the engineering too. So it kind of, I'm like, should I spend the time on the engineering or should I spend it on making a video or some other aspect that I could do? So just getting some consistency and some decision making.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so, how are you, if you were a perfect massive action taker, how would your life look different in the marketing sphere?
It would just be, I would be either succeeding in whatever I tried, or I would just be crossing something off the list. So that would be one less thing I'd have to worry about. Like, let's go in this direction and skip that one. So that's it. Probably wouldn't be a whole lot different than it is now, but I would probably feel better about what I'm doing, what I'm spending the time on.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's not that the action would look different, it's that you wouldn't have competing shiny objects pulling
Right,
you in different marketing directions, and you'd be seeing a bit more results.
right.
Okay, okay.
It's sometimes it's a matter of wondering, is that a better idea over there versus just sticking with what you need to do. One of my favorite books that I've just read, and it's called by Oliver Burkeman. It's called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. And
Mhm.
he's a British guy that talks about if we live 80 years, the average lifespan, that's 4,000 weeks. And a lot of us live our lives as though we think we're going to have 8,000 weeks or 16,000 weeks. We don't like go ahead and get on it. But one of his key topics that I really loved, and especially for me, is if you have two things you're trying to choose between and you really can't, bring yourself to say, I really think this one's better than that one. I should go this way. Then he said, it doesn't matter which one you do. If they're equal, just go ahead and do one or the other of them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So he's my new hero. And he also wrote a book called The Antidote: Happiness for People Who Can't Stand Positive Thinking.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So you can tell I kind of like things that aren't traditional or aren't standard.
Yeah.
But he said it's it's similar to when you like the drive to always think and talk positively. It can kind of backfire because of the way our brains work. If you've ever been in a situation that was kind of awkward and you're like telling yourself, I don't let me say that. Don't let me say that. Don't let me say that. I'm not going to say that because it would be cruel. Actually, it would be very disrespectful or whatever. And then what's the thing that you say, right? Because your
Yep.
brain it's so focused on the thing you don't want to do that you end up doing it more.
Mhm.
So according to Oliver's, some of his studies, some people who are just so committed to positive thinking all the time are actually maybe less happy than people who don't worry about it that much. So
Yeah.
there's always something interesting, but he's very big on we can't do everything every day that we want to do. So pick a handful and maybe underestimate how much you can get done that day. Like maybe you're only going to pick 3 or 4 things instead of 10. And if you get those done, be happy because that's probably about right for
Yep.
what we can handle with taking care of the rest of our body too in our lives.
Yeah. Absolutely. Trying to think. How could you so you have the competing shiny objects. Are you at a place right now where you're like, I want to pick one and I want to commit to it and I want to shut out all those other shiny objects?
Well, I've spent some time making the videos, and that's super fun for me because I'm very creative and I'd love to be a videographer. I'd love to have my name on the credits of the movie.
Yeah.
Like she ran the X camera or whatever. And then so that's pretty fun. And then but then I also need to branch out a little bit more into some other areas. So, I've already gotten into a habit of, oh, this is fun. Let's just keep doing this one. But to do something else, or maybe just commit a week or a couple of weeks to trying another method would be a good idea.
What makes you think you need to branch out?
Because I would like to see better results.
Mm, okay, okay, okay. And what results would you like to see?
Just an increased awareness. Like I've been on many podcasts, and I have a lot of material from all the talks I've given that could be turned into little video clips or whatever. So that's another way that I can go. That's already like all I have to do is mine it. It's there,
I gotcha.
and it would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, I see. I see. Okay. I guess I was just asking because, like, I feel like so you said taking action, and then when we got specific about taking action, it wasn't taking more action, it was being less distracted when taking action and seeing better results.
Mhm.
So then I feel like branching off into another form of content creation might like add to the already feeling that you have, whereas opposed
Mhm.
to like closing everything else off and doubling down on what you're currently doing, what you
Uh-huh.
like what would doubling down on you making TikToks look like in your life?
It would probably be not doing my engineering work at all and making 3 to 4 to even 8 to 10 TikToks a day instead of just one.
Okay, okay. Well,
So
how about we start with two TikToks a day? Could you do could you do two TikToks a day? Could you ramp it up to that?
I might be able to, yes. I'm getting a lot better at it. So I I did one the other day that I shot and edited and posted in 15 minutes.
That's very
So
solid. You could do
yeah,
eight a day at that mark. Just get up at
yeah,
5 a.m.
yeah. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about it, and it's a little bit different medium than some of the others because it's really more like an advertising
Yeah,
medium. They send them out to different people every day. They don't send them to your same crowd.
yeah.
So so it's like you're seeing new people every day, and you can redo the same ideas, maybe present it in a different fashion and see how that. So it's kind of a learning process, and it's pretty fun because I am getting better at it.
Could you double down with your dollars? Like, is there a community you could join? Is there a coach you could pay to help you get more engagement? Is there a service provider you could pay to like help you draft ideas and create the baseline of content so you can churn them out faster? Like, is there some way you could double down with your dollars as well?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. And my publisher helps me a lot with that stuff. And like he has someone she's the one that got in touch with you as far as me being on the podcast, and she's helping me with Instagram. So so we are working as a team already.
There we go.
My big dream is to do more speaking
Mm,
and talk to a lot of people. So I actually know quite a few people like that. And you asked in your preliminary material what limiting belief holds you back, and it's because I've gone into things in the past full bore. Like when I was trying to raise my little kids, I was selling Discovery toys, and I was trying to write a book, and I was working almost full time, and so everything just kind of crashed. And so now I'm reluctant to, you know, make myself crazy with too many things at once. But getting into more speaking is a great way to do it, and also a great way to sell more books.
okay. Okay. So if you had to put that limiting belief in a phrase, what would it be? I'm reluctant to fully commit.
Right. I'm reluctant to go full bore and wear myself out for nothing.
Mm, I gotcha. And that came from doing it before. You went full bore when you were
Right.
raising kids, you had a business, you were working full time, and it
Uh-huh.
flopped.
Right. So yeah, it's something I could tap on, like I say in my book.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the other techniques that I talk about when people ask me what are the two most valuable things you could do, tapping is one, and the other one is a 10-minute do nothing meditation that you do every day. And you sit and do nothing. Like you just stare at something, maybe some nice scene, hopefully out the window or whatever,
Yep.
but you're not praying or meditating or thinking or planning. You're just sitting there getting bored with yourself.
Yep.
And it's amazing what ideas come to you, as well as it gets you right into the present, which for most of us normally isn't that bad.
Yeah.
It's it's the future or the past that we're thinking about that makes us uneasy.
Yeah.
So if you get right in the present, then you're just kind of like, okay, okay, okay. And then you usually get some like, oh, I forgot I need to do that, or some completely new perspective on something. It may not happen right in that 10 minutes, but it might come to you later in the day.
I got
So that's another one of my favorites. It's super easy.
you. I got you. The 10-minute do nothing meditation.
Right.
I want to go back to this idea of going full bore into things, wearing yourself out for nothing. Do you feel like the first time you did it, you got nothing out of it?
No, no, of course not. We always get something out of things, but financial success in the side businesses or whatever. I mean, I did fine at my work, and the kids are fantastic. They turned out really good,
Nice.
and they're my best friends.
Yeah.
And so there were lots of good things, but the thing I was trying to do all those things for to make a little bit more money didn't happen on the side. So
I
that's
got
what I
you.
do.
What would your ideal monthly income be from source one source of income outside of your job? What would be ideal so that you could go into that thing full bore and like you're happy with the results you're getting?
It's not much, like $5,000.
Okay. So like 1 to 2 paid speaking gigs a month
Right,
would get you to your number.
right, exactly.
Okay. I got you. I got you. Very nice. Very nice. And hmm what does full bore into speaking look like? Like if you had to spend 40 hours a week getting those 1 to 2 speaking gigs, what would your time entail?
I'm assuming it would be lots of talking on the phone or sending emails back and forth or creating something that people could look at as far as the speaking that I was doing, and and speaking for free or whatever in smaller groups to get acquainted with people that might put me in front of a bigger group.
Yeah.
Yeah, I studied all that stuff back in 2008 when I was promoting my organizing book. So it's not like I even need a lot of information. I just need to go ahead and do it.
You just need to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So walk me through it. You have to quit your job today. There is a gun to your head during this whole scenario. You have to quit your job today. You have 6 months to do it. At that in that 6 months, you need 2 speaking gigs every month. Or gun to your head, life's over. That's real gruesome, but just work the imagination with me here. How would you get it done in that 6 months to where you have 2 or more speaking gigs per month?
Well, like I said, I already know what the steps are, and it's some of it is personal energy. Like I do a certain number of hours of engineering a day, which is usually sitting in front of the computer, and it kind of drains me. So if I
Yeah.
didn't have to do any of that, man, I could really go to town.
Do you have to?
Huh?
Do you have to?
Yeah, until everything else balances out and takes away the need for that.
I gotcha. Yeah, I will admit, I used to be one to tell people to just take the leap and do it.
Uh-huh.
That is not me anymore. I am a fan of having the solid, stable income as you build, but it does have that cost, right? And so I guess if there was one thing you had to do every week that would take you to that speaking, Would it be the free speaking gigs right now and building up a portfolio? Would it be some Facebook ads advertising yourself as a speaker? Would it be connecting with a certain person every week? What would that activity be that you could track that you're like, I know that in 6 months, this will make me able to replace my income with speaking?
Well, I have, from my old days of networking, I have about 800 to 1,000 business cards. And they're, obviously they've moved on since back then. But a lot of them I think would still consider me a friend. So that's probably where I'd spend my time, just contacting those people to see where they could get me in, either free or paid. And I'd have a lot of fun with it too. So, I like talking to my friends,
Yeah. Yeah. I gotcha.
seeing where they're at.
Okay. Okay. But you're doing a lot right now. So is that something you could add to your plate, like calling 5 to 10 of them a day? Or would that put you over your threshold of like, now I'm doing too much?
Well, it probably wouldn't. Maybe 5 a day. I don't know that I could do 10,
Mhm.
but just have to get the old spreadsheet out and, keep track of who I actually reached and so forth. And I probably have to go to coffee and go to lunch with a bunch of people too. So that would be part of it.
Maybe, maybe.
Not bad, not bad.
So now the age old question, are you going to do it?
Yes, I think you've inspired me.
Solid, solid. 5 people a day to get yourself on the speaking gigs. And you said free or paid.
Mhm.
Now, if you do a paid one, how much are you going to charge?
Probably depends on the group, but I would probably start. Well, I actually did get a speaking thing. It was just a small meeting, and I got paid $200, and I didn't know I was going to get paid. I thought, I would have done it for free. It was a group of organizer, so I'm like, yeah, good practice.
There we go.
So 500 to 1,000.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Let's just go with 1,000. Let's just go
Okay,
there. Put it at
all
a
right.
thousand. Cool. Cool. Okay. And I guess a big thing for speakers, like the thing that ups their value is their brand. Is that
Right.
accurate or inaccurate?
I don't know.
Mm,
I've been out of the deal for such a long time that I don't really know about that, but it can't hurt. And
yeah.
that's part of why I do the other things that I do with
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram. I'll probably do more blogging too. That's kind of why I wrote a book so I could blog
Hmm.
and find a cute picture to go with it. I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like something short.
I gotcha. I guess I'm just thinking Tony Robbins, right? So well known, so in demand because he has that brand. People know him. That's why
Right,
he could probably charge $200,000 to go speak, and people would
right.
pay it.
Uh-huh.
And then there's me. I'd have to go speak for free because nobody would really pay me to go speak right now because they don't know who I am. Maybe a couple people who are like, "Yeah, I've seen you posted so much on this podcast. Tell me how you did it." Maybe
Uh-huh.
maybe I get some paid speaking gigs there, but still nobody's like looking for that type of speaker. So I guess I'm like, we got the calling 5 people a day to get you to the speaking gigs. If there was a brand element, it would it just be the posting that TikTok or 2 TikToks a day,
Mhm.
or would it be money speeds things up? So I'm like, is there some place you can put extra income to speed that process up? Or is it just the input of 2 TikToks a day, calling 5 people a day that's going to get you to where you want to be?
I don't know.
Fair.
So
Very fair.
that's the $95 question.
I love it. I love it. Well,
But
there's something to think about. I don't know either.
yeah,
But
exactly.
if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, hey, there you go. What?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
cool.
sure that there are other things, and um, there's even some experts that are really good at small business development that I could talk to
Hmm.
and hire for a consultation or whatever if I wanted to. So I have a lot of resources.
Yeah,
I just haven't used them.
just gotta execute. Well, I think we 5 calls a day, 2 TikToks a day. I think that consistently over time, even if you did that weekly, honestly, I think you would blow up um, to the extent you want to.
All right.
Hey, which character trait do you think you most need to develop right now to make your dream life come true?
Courage or consistency. I can't remember what I wrote, but I think it was consistency.
Gotcha. And then if there were one or two people you could meet right now, that could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really help you take that next step towards your dreams and goals. Who would they be and how would they help you?
Well, Michael Neal is another favorite inspiring author, like Oliver Berkman. He's pretty famous in the self-development world, and he wrote a book that I read long ago called Super Coach. And he talks about, I mean, it's got kind of a hokey name, but it's a fabulous book. And he talks about how our thoughts are going in and out of our heads all day long. And it's not like the first time you have this terrible thought or whatever that it hurts you. It's the 50th time or the 500th time. But he makes a big case for those thoughts are going around in and out of your head all day long. Don't latch on to any one of them too hard because they're just basically baloney.
Yep.
they're they're not worth getting all upset about for sure. And then he wrote another book that called Creating the Impossible. And he suggests making some ridiculous goal that you say you're going to do in 90 days. And you start visualizing the end goal or whatever, what that would look like. You make a little drawing and of what it's going to look like once you get there. But he's got a 90-day program and different pieces of information each day that can help you stay on the track. But
Yep.
one of them is, just get ridiculously overdo it for a while. Overdo, all the ideas that you have, just go ahead and do them beyond full bore. And there's bound to be something that will happen from doing just that, even if it's for a short time.
So call 100 people a day. Post
Right.
20 TikToks a day. 10x. Yeah. It's like true though. It's like if you did, say you called 1,000 people a day, like you'd probably get your two paid speaking gigs probably for 5K each,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's crazy to think about the accuracy and the simplicity in it. Not saying it's easy, but the simplicity of it of like, yeah, just 10x your effort.
Right. Exactly.
But it's also thinking about the life you want to live, you know, is sacrificing some of that short-term stuff worth it to you? That's a serious
Mhm.
question that people need to
Yeah.
ask themselves because for most people it's not, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But if it is, go ahead and make the sacrifice.
Well, I had so many years of working so much of the time that I basically could barely spend even time with my family,
Yeah,
which are the most valuable people to me, much less friends. So I don't want to go back to that.
yeah,
I
exactly.
do.
And see, that's a priority. And so it's like
Right.
you couldn't give me $1 billion to never see my family again. So it's like
Right.
the money like doesn't matter at that point.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, last question for you here, Connie. What is your favorite belief about yourself?
Oh, I didn't hear that one before on the list.
Yeah, that's a surprise one.
Okay. My favorite belief about myself is that I'm very flexible and patient. So, so I'm quite willing to try new ideas and at least give it a shot.
Yeah,
And so that comes in handy.
there we go. Well, Connie, is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
Hmm. Just to say that decluttering is worth it, and anything that you do to make your life simpler is worth it. But as always, first declutter the guilt. So don't get upset with yourself if you haven't already achieved so much that you thought you should have done by this time.
Yeah.
Because somebody said you have 100% of your life in front of you, not
Mm,
100% of the rest of your life, which sounds like, all right, loser, you've already wasted a bunch of it. You have 100% of your life ahead of you.
yeah,
So that's kind of cool.
I love it. I think that's a great way to look at it. Well, Connie, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Timmy.
Of course. And if you guys are
You're
listening
great.
to this and you loved what Connie had to say, make sure to check her out. All the links to do so will be down in the show notes. But Connie, let's just tell them here, what is the best way to find you?
My website, clearthespace.com. That's ClearTheSpace.com. Has information about my book where you can order it. And then TikTok is, you can see it under my name, Connie Ellefson, or under Clear the Space. Instagram is clear_the_space. And those are the main places where I'm hanging out.
Solid. All those links will be down in the show notes. If you guys are listening to this, go ahead and buy a copy of the book, then buy a copy for a friend and send it to them. And make sure you rate the book as well. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.